What it is, what it do, cyber world. It is your girl, the one, the only, Ash Said It. AshSaidIt.com, AshSaidIt.com. Thank you so much for joining the show. We have a very special, special guest today. I'm a huge fan, first off, so I know that a lot of you out there know this special person. This is a prolific method actor, dedicated choreographer, musical artist, and now author, the wonderful, talented Columbus Short. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
I am great. How are you doing today?
I'm good today. Today is a good day. I'm above ground, breathing, in Dallas. Just left. I always get a nice dose of energy when I get to speak to kids and,
Yeah.
our future generations.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I know that you're in between sets and stuff. You're shooting different things. So anytime that you have for us, I definitely appreciate that. Yeah. So, you've got this new autobiography that's out. So I want to get to that. But first, I want to start things off a little on a lighter note. Like when you were a child, what was your dream career and how close did you actually come to it?
My dream was exactly what I do now, and I'm doing it. I've accomplished my dream. Once you accomplish a dream, and I was just speaking to the kids about this. It's like, new dreams become are birth. So, I guess as you grow, you never stop dreaming, right?
Yeah.
And dreaming, manifesting, and shooting for the stars, and at least landing on the moon.
Hey, that's half the battle. So, for you, what would you say has been the biggest misconception about the entertainment industry?
Misconception?
Mm-hmm. Something that yeah.
I think a big misconception is that I don't think a lot of people see the work, how much work, years of work that actors, directors, writers, even people behind the camera, directors of photography, crew, how many hours people spend to get to a place to do this.
Right.
It's thousands of hours. The Malcolm Gladwell book called The Outliers speaks about the 1,000-hour rule. It takes 1,000 hours to be a master of your craft, and people don't see those hours put in. They just see what they see, and I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions is that it's people get there by luck. Yeah, there is a incredible amount of chance that comes to anybody. The 1% of basketball players from college going to the NBA. Same with NFL or hockey or whatever. But there's a massive amount of work that was put in, hours, which I think the universe rewards with you being able to walk into your destiny and doing what you've been working for.
Absolutely. Now, you are a very accomplished choreographer, and, not to put anybody else down, but, you were definitely out there doing big things and booking all kinds of work. But how did you, out of all these choreographers that were all, flocking to the biggest pop star in the world at that time, how did you book the Onyx Hotel tour with Britney Spears?
That was an interesting thing. It was a highly what's the word?
In demand?
A coveted job.
Yeah.
But it was, also, these choreographers that were legends that have been working in the game for a long time were like, how did this kid get this job? And it was me, not just myself. It was me and my partner, Kevin Tancherowan. And it was like what I was speaking with these kids about, my preparation meeting my destination. So I've always been in the studio making music. And, me and my partner, Kevin, he was a choreographer as well. We would teach classes at Millennium, but a big dance studio in LA. But after hours, we were in the studio, writing and producing music for artists. And so I ended up booking the Britney tour because I had done a Nike industrial with Travis Payne, and he's like, not Travis Payne, Jamie King, who was a huge choreographer, creative director with Michael, Madonna, everybody. And he was like, I want to put you on Britney. So I got on the Britney job, and we did our first show, and the label was upset with what the show looks like. And so they fired they fired everybody. And it just so happened my partner calls me, and he's like, we have a session tonight, get to the studio. And I was like, okay. So he was like, I'm not telling you who it is. I get to the session, and I'm like, who's the session? He's like, I'm not telling you. The gate buzzes, in comes a black SUV, and out walks Britney. And I was like, what? We got a session with Britney? And I was just with, she was like, Columbus, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I produce music. So we were doing remixes. Kevin got us hired to do remixes for her tour.
Wow.
So we were remixing all the records. So we started doing this session, and she was telling us how the label was firing, everybody. And Kevin was like, well, me and Columbus are choreographers. She was like, you're a choreographer too? You produce me? What don't you do? And so she watched our choreography reel. Her manager was at the studio. He watched. He was like, I want you guys to take over the tour, everything. And I was like, what? I was 20 years old. He was 19. And it was just serendipity. But getting the job is one thing. Executing it was another. Yeah. And being able to be prepared all of those hours that, I was a musical theater major, stage, really doing grand stage production, really being a choreographer on a higher level. All of that, all of my skill sets came into play. Doing the music producing. All of that came into this jambalaya, and it was like the perfect storm, I guess, at the time. And so when you say, like I said, it was like a tinge of luck, and then, all of that work kind of being prepared for that right moment.
Yes. Wow. No, I'm sure that was an incredible time, because I was sitting up there, everybody was cheering Britney on, and wow, for you to do that at 20 years old, that's huge. That's huge. That's definitely, like you said, opportunity, meeting, chance, So that's really huge.
Yeah.
So how did you balance life as your star began to grow in Hollywood, and you're booking roles, and you're on these different sets, you're at rehearsals? How did you balance life?
Not well. I'm going to be honest with you. I was so goal oriented, and all I've ever done was, it was like goal after goal. You obtain one of your goals, and then you're on to the next. And it was, all I knew how to do was work. And so the life part, I wasn't so good at. Balancing life wasn't so easy. And that, it was rifts with family, rifts with trouble with relationships and all that, because, I was working so much. And that's all I really cared about.
Right.
And it's taken for me to get, now I'm 38 years old, understanding balance, and how even balance feeds my craft as well.
Right.
You can squeeze something, you can work so hard on it, you could suffocate it to death, right? And lose some of that creativity, and lose some of that juice. It's great to be able to have a normal life and disconnect, and then when you plug in, you're locked in. So, it's a great question, and I can honestly say I didn't live a balanced life, but now I do, and it's great.
Yeah, definitely a huge change, and everyone, we've seen your highs, and unfortunately your lows were promoted and put out there as well. And we saw headlines where you hit some pretty difficult times. For you, what would you say was your moment of enlightenment when you're in the midst of that storm?
That's why I wrote the book. It was a lot of misnomers, and then there was truth, right? I mean, I think there was, an allegation that really started the spiral, and, started the headline, Columbus being a clickable headline. And then it was after that, me personally hurt, and, I'm not sure how to combat, allegations, and not knowing how to defend myself that way, and then not being on the show anymore, letting down my castmates and, my kids, my family, that true or not, a headline is very much damaging. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be true at all. It can just be a statement, and it can change your life. And so I went through a really dark time, and people do that all the time. People go through extreme lows, but it's just not televised, right? It's just not,
that's the difference
for the world to see. And it's kind of ironic is when I was working with Britney, I saw that, and I was like, man, I don't know how I would be able to do it. And I still didn't know how I was able to do it. And there was the moment where I was like, it's time to get my life. I can't let the world dictate my joy, my peace, my sanity, and it's time to piece it back together. And it started with myself, doing that work on myself, not pointing fingers, not playing a victim, not woe is me. It's like really rolling my sleeves up and doing that ugly work on myself first. And then in turn, one of the things that I think a producer that will remain nameless, but he said, how can you produce a movie, Columbus, and you can't produce your life? I was like, whoa. That kind of smacked me in the face with that, but it was truer words had never been spoken. And the first step was producing me, getting me right, mentally, physically, spiritually, and then my family, and rebuilding burnt down bridges, and healing, and you after a while, and you're like, wow, things are kind of changing, and then it was like, okay, I'm ready to come back full steam, and writing that book was incredibly cathartic for me, incredible healing process. It took me a long time to write the book because I really didn't want to dive into certain things, and it was tough to kind of open up those doors, but it was worth it in the end because I can get it out and close that chapter officially, and write a new book, figuratively speaking.
Yes. Now, I just have to say, like, me firsthand, being a supporter, being a fan from the early days of you doing television and movies and stuff, like, I'm rooting for you, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I'm super excited to see all the different projects and things that are upcoming for you. I know that you're featured in the Mahalia Jackson story. You're playing Martin Luther King Jr. That's awesome.
Yes, which is wild. It's like the role has kind of, to play Martin was a dream of mine, another dream.
Yes.
I had a dream to play Martin for many years, and the role kind of eluded me. I was supposed to play Martin in Selma. That movie fell apart, and then it came back together with David Ayala and Ava DuVernay, and I was bummed about that. And then I was on Scandal when Lee Daniels wanted me to play Martin Luther King in Selma. It was just a small role, but I just wanted to play Martin, and so that schedule wasn't able to work out. And so all these years later, I get to get the call, and there was a moment where it's like, am I even worthy? That pressure, and especially where social injustice, civil injustice, it's at a fever pitch. It's almost like things that we've come so far, but not far enough. And I jumped on, dove in, and it just felt good to get lost in a character and go deep into my bag, which I haven't had. I haven't been challenged as an actor in quite some time, and so it just I'm excited about the movie. I think people are going to love it. Lettucey killed it. Janet Hubert from Aunt Viv is a monstrous actress. Monstrous actress, and I'm excited for people to see her making her way back. We just got a great cast, and I'm really excited about it.
Absolutely. You guys, the book, it's short stories, the autobiography of Columbus Short. Columbus, thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate you, brother. Can't wait to see what else you got in store for the rest of 2021 into 2022. I see you.
Yes, ma'am. Stay tuned. Keep moving.
Not a problem, bro. Thank you so much. Wow, that was incredible. You guys can go check that out. That book is available wherever books are sold. Short stories, the autobiography of Columbus Short. That brother is doing major and massive things, and I'm so glad he came through to show some love to his sis. Holding down to A-Town, of course. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for all of your love and support. Keeping in mind, anyone to tell you that you can't do what you want to do. You look them square in the face. You tell them, don't believe me. Just watch. Watch what I do. Watch me make it happen. Watch me make history. That's what we're doing this for, the history books. Social media is nice, but real life is so much better. Until next time, you guys.